Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn about history. 10th standard, first lesson Historiography Development in the West. The points which are going to be dealt are: first point is tradition of historiography, 1.2 modern historiography, 1.3 development of scientific perspective in Europe and historiography, 1.4 notable scholars. In this lesson, it is spoken about how the development in the West has taken place and how that development in the West which took place is written down. And the written down work is called historiography because it is dealing with history of the West development. So let us go through that step by step. Historical research, writing, and studies are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of the past events and their interconnection. This is a continuous process. As I said, what is historical research? Writings and studies are carried out with the objective of understanding the chronology of the past events. Things have taken place, how it is interconnected, and it is a continuous process. In the physical and natural sciences, the empirical method, laboratory method of experiments and observation is used to verify the available knowledge. In physical and natural science, what is there? You require laboratory where you cut things and find out, and then experiments are done, and then you observe. But here it is not like that. These events are already taken in the past, and that events what are taken in the past are here written down in a chronological order. This method allows formulating laws that remain true irrespective of the time and space. Those laws can be tested and proved repeatedly. In historical research, it may not be possible to use the method of laboratory experiments and observations. This is so because we are not present in the historical time and space, and the historical events cannot be recreated. What has happened in the past, we cannot recreate it, and that is why it is not to be seen in the laboratory where you cut and see. But when the things are there, what is there in the laboratory, we can make it into existence. Like if you have cut the frog 5 years back, you can even cut the frog now also, because it is a laboratory. But what things have happened in the past? Shivaji Maharaj was in the past. Can you bring Shivaji Maharaj now? It is not possible. Also in history, it is not possible to formulate laws that remain true irrespective of the time and space. To begin, we need an expert who knows the language and script of a historical document in order to read it and understand its meaning. Now, suppose what is the understanding of some words today, and after 100 years, if you try to use that, decipher those language, it is very difficult for us. Now, for example, let us take if the things which are written in Chinese, can you decipher? No. In order to decipher that language, either first and foremost you require the knowledge of the language called Chinese, or either you call someone who knows that language, who is an expert in that language. That is what is meant over here. If you see, you have found some different earlier scripts of olden times. Now you and I are not have not or do not have the knowledge of those languages or those scripts which were written some years back. Those who do the study of those languages, it is easy for them to decipher that code. You might have seen in many of the movies, it is written in some words which you do not understand, and then you see how the people learn that language and try to understand that language and then decipher the code of that. Also, the experts can examine the authenticity of the document by using criteria such as lettering style, author style of writing, manufacturing date and type of paper, stamps of authority, etc. Such a document is further scrutinized by a historian with the help of relevant historical references. Yes, now this what is said, that Now, how old this letter is, or how old this page is after a few years, suppose if you have found one document rolled in a parchment and in some place, and now you want to see the authenticity of that document. So, how old that document is, we can clearly find out through some datings which are done. So, we can say that it is this document is 500 years old, or we get some of the statues which are underground, and then when you dig, okay, and when you dig you find that archaeological surveys are done, and you find those bones or some, suppose some statues, you do the find out the various you do the study on that, and you're able to say that this is 500 years old statue. Historical research method. Now, what are the historical research method? Writing of historical narrative. First is writing. Okay, examining relevant references of the available historical information, collecting historical information, highlighting the process that lead to historical transition, carrying out comparative analysis, understanding the references regarding time and space of the given historical events, and also various conceptual frameworks used in historical research method, formulating relevant questions in view of the historical references, formulating hypotheses, critically examining of various sources of history. This is what is given, how historical research is done through these different methods. Methods of various disciplines are useful in historical research. For example, archaeology, archival science, manuscriptology, epigraphy, study of inscriptions, analysis of lettering style, linguistics, numismatics, study of coins, genealogy, study of lineage, etc. Now, these are the various study in connection to different field. For example, archaeology. Archaeology is where you dig and all, and those who do the study of that is called archaeological. Now, archival science, some documents you find, parchments or something which are written, and those which you keep in one place, recorded this one, recorded history and all, that is called archival. Then something is manuscriptology. I told you that some parchment, some old papers or some seals which are found olden days, and those who do that study are called manuscriptology of manuscript. Then comes the epigraphy. Epigraphy is study of inscriptions. Some inscriptions are inscribed on something. Okay. For example, if you take this bottle, there is something. This is that. This is called inscription. The one who does the study of this, what is written over there. Now this is ROXXL, but after ROXXL. But after some years, then this is not your language. Someone else who comes will try to find out what is this. So one who does the study of this inscriptions, or what is this inscription, that is called epigraphy. Then analysis of lettering style, how the letters are written. Okay, that is called analysis of lettering style, whether it is what do you call, slanting, italic, bold. Then linguistic, one who does the different study of different languages are called linguistic. Then numismatics, at a study of coins, different coins are found. Genealogy, study of lineage, who is the grandparents of so and so person, who is his great grandparents, who is the father of this one, who is the son of this. So all this is called lineage, genealogy. Now, tradition of historiography is the first point, that is 1.1. We have learned about the historical research method, critically examining the historical resources and writing the historical narrative. The writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. Again, I repeat, the writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. A scholar who writes such a narrative is a historian. A scholar who does the writing of those things is called a historian. The historian cannot include every past event in his narrative. The inclusion and interpretation of historical events by the historian often depends on the conceptual framework adopted by him. His style of writing is determined by the conceptual framework. Now, there is a concept behind writing the thing. Everything detailed he will not write, but he will write only certain thing what he wants to communicate through his writing. So there is a certain framework. So you have the person historian interprets it. Okay, the tradition of writing historical narrative, that is historiography, was not prevalent in the ancient societies of the world. However, that does not mean that they were not aware of the historical time or were not eager to know about it. Ancient people also felt the need of passing on the stories of the life and valor of the ancestors to the next generation. As you know, that we might have heard the stories of various kings before by our parents, though our parents were being told by their parents. So grandparents might have told to the parents, and parents have told to us, and we will tell to our children whatever. So that is the stories which we have heard, and that is what passing on from one time to another. Ancient communities all over the world used various means like cave paintings, storytelling, singing songs, and ballads, etc., for this purpose. Now, whatever things were there which happened during that time, they either depicted by caves, they have paintings are done through pictoriography, pictures are drawn on the wall. Some have told the stories about that. Some have sang songs to communicate what things happened, and some ballads. Okay, for this purpose, these traditional means are looked upon as the sources of history in the modern historiography. Did you understand what is the tradition of historiography? Now we go to the second point, that is modern historiography. Four main characteristics of modern historiography. How much? Four. Now what are those? First, its method is based on scientific principles. It begins with the formation of relevant questions. Relevant questions are to be asked, okay, in modern historiography. Then these questions are anthropocentric. Anthropocentric means human being is the center, that is anthropos. It means that these questions are about the deeds of the members of ancient human societies of a particular period, means about humans of the particular period, not continuous, during like some 500 years ago. During that period, about those human beings it is dealt with. History does not suggest any interrelation between the divine and the human deeds. History doesn't consider the divine intervention. History is pure history. Third, answers to these questions are supported by reliable evidences. Here, evidences is required, not simply saying in the air. Fourth, history presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of past human deeds. Means it shows how these things have evolved. As we know, how human beings are evolved, different stages. So it requires proper evidence for that. It is said that the modern historiography with above characteristics has its roots in the ancient Greek historical writing. History, okay, what he says that this modern historiography has its roots in ancient Greek historical writing. History is originally a Greek term. Again, I repeat, history is originally a Greek term. Herodotus, the Greek historian of the 5th century BCE, used it first for his book entitled The Histories. Got that? Did you get it? Let us go to the next. We have lot to finish, but I will finish it. One more point I will take, and the next point notable scholars will deal tomorrow. 1.3, development of scientific perspective in Europe and historiography. Till the 18th century CE, Europe had achieved a remarkable progress in the fields of philosophy and science. Scholars by then had come to believe in the possibility of studying the social and historical truths by applying scientific methods. Now the philosophical discussions focused more and more on the objectivity in history and historiography. Prior to the 18th century, all European universities were interested only in the philosophical discourses revolving around divine phenomena. However, gradually this scenario began to change. In 1737 Christian era, the Göttingen University was founded in Germany. This university for the first time had an independent department of history. Later, other German universities also became centers of historical studies. Now this is speaking about how the development of historical history grew in the European context. Okay, different universities were built up, and there where the things started growing in those universities. For today, this much is enough. Next class we will deal with notable scholars. Okay, thank you. and have a nice day.